right, and we are here for episode number 16 of the VYPE podcast. Will Turboff, Robert Gonsolin. A whole week of Texas high school sports has passed by since our last episode, and Robert, I think we're ready to get into it. Softball playoffs have already started. Baseball is starting up as we speak, so go ahead and kick us off.
Guess we'll jump right into the rankings, Will. Let's get right into Austin. We have the teams of Lake Travis, Anderson, Bowie, Westlake, and Cedar Park. These are all 5 teams who ended up in the top 5. Lake Travis and Westlake actually finished their respective regular seasons against each other. Will, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think we talked about on our last episode how storied of a rivalry this is between Lake Travis and Westlake, and it always comes down to these two teams with some kind of playoff implications. So Westlake won the last game of the series, which ended up kind of shaking up the district rankings, which I'll talk a little bit later on about. So Lake Travis, they're going to stay at number 1. It wasn't really close. I think they clinched the district a couple weeks ago. They're going to be playing, like a lot of teams, a 3-game series. It's going to be against Vista Ridge by the time this comes out. That series may have already started, coming in that Thursday, Friday, Saturday range. So I would expect Lake Travis to make a hard push and maybe even secure a championship this year. I don't know what you think, Robert.
I mean, yeah, it'd be definitely hard to go all the way and secure it, but anything's possible. Anything can happen. It's baseball. It's not it's not a sport where you lose one game, you're completely out of the playoffs like football and basketball. You lose one game, okay, let's see if we get the next one.
Yeah, they've got some studs pitching for them. I think Ethan Rourke and Boots Landry are both. Boots Landry may play for another team, but I know both those guys have been studs for their teams this year. And the pitching has been so great in that district. A lot of low scoring games. It's a lot different from what we've seen in the San Antonio area and in the Houston area over here, where the dominating teams are winning, by crazy scores of like 19-0, 21-0, something like that. There's been a lot of low scoring games in Austin this year. So Westlake is going to be facing Cedar Ridge, who actually finished at number 10 in our rankings. And Bowie, they were able to stay put at number 2. They faced Lake Travis in a series last week, and they're going to be facing Bangs.
Well, heading into San Antonio, there wasn't really much that happened except for Churchill and Johnson. They changed positions. They changed the 4 and 5 spot. It's still pretty good to be ranked that high, but I guess just a little bit of bragging rights right there. Churchill will actually be at the road team to start off their playoff series. This is against East Central. Switching over to Reagan, who's 15th in the most recent national poll. They're facing New Braunfels. Their coach, Chance Chapman, actually earned his 500th win in their final regular season game. And Will, you want to talk a little bit about Friendswood?
Yeah, so switching over pretty quickly here to Houston or the Houston area, and a lot of people are not going to be happy that I just called Friendswood Houston. So Friendswood is in 5A, and a lot of people within the Texas high school baseball, football, basketball, whatever sport, they don't think 5A is a good enough competition for you to be ranked as high as Friendswood is right now, number 2 in the nation by that recent poll that you mentioned earlier. Undefeated season. We talked to Jackson Birch a few weeks ago, who's one of their pitchers. What a great guy. Transferred over here from Louisiana.
His first year.
Yeah, first year here, and he had back-to-back no-hitters. One of them was combined, but the reaction that you and I had before we even went and started recording, oh my gosh, this kid is so great. And if I'm not rooting for my Strake Jesuit Crusaders, I'm rooting. Well, Friendswood could win 5A and Strake could win 6A. That's my dream scenario right there. So Isaac Pacheco, he plays for Friendswood. We've talked about him before. He's probably going to be a first-round draft pick. I've seen some mock drafts where he goes to a contending team. I think the Braves are looking at him a lot right now, but there's some that have him in the top 10 or 15. He's been committed to A&M for about 5 years now. So it'll be really interesting to see which route he decides to take. They're going to be facing Netherlands this week. I would expect that to be a blowout. Netherlands is a very good team. Friendswood is very good. That's what I'll say. I said very good for both teams, but Friendswood is definitely a step ahead of everyone in the Houston area right now.
Yeah, they definitely carry that swagger with them too. I was talking to someone from Friendswood, just like I was about high school, or I was talking to someone else about high school baseball just a couple of weeks ago. And a kid who went to Friendswood was nearby, and he just immediately jumped in the conversation, and he goes, "You know what? You know where Friendswood is ranked?" And I'm like, "Where?" Because I actually hadn't hopped on that hype train yet for Friendswood, but they go at the time. They go, "We're about ninth in the nation."
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of seen them creep up. I mean, when we first started talking about baseball, they weren't even in those in the top 25 at all. And really, I think last week, yeah, they were like ninth or something like that. And now all of a sudden they're number two. One of the teams from Florida is number one. All that Florida region is just stacked right now with Douglas and IMG and teams like that. But Bridgeland, man, we find a way to talk about Bridgeland in every single VYPE podcast. I would assume maybe like 15 out of the 16, something like that. They always get mentioned. So they won District 16, which is that Cypress district. They're going to be facing Klein Kane, and our favorite 2022 quarterback is on the team.
Looks like he's gonna still play baseball at A&M.
Yeah, Connor Weigman. He's been one of their best players this year. Dual sport athlete, dual threat quarterback. Uh, we love to see it, and we just love baseball. Maybe not as much as we do football. And why don't we go ahead and get into that? Not a whole lot of news. I know I said you can cover football any week of the year, any day, but there have been some commitments. You want to talk a little bit about the first one because I know you're familiar with this guy.
Yeah, so I actually my journey of trying to get in touch with Braden Locke started pretty recently. I know you've been a little bit after him more than me, Will, but he committed to Mississippi State earlier this week. That's one of our new Texas quarterbacks who just made a commitment to an SEC school. He's actually one of the last top tier Texas quarterbacks to make a verbal commitment.
Yeah, a lot of these guys have already committed. I mean, we name the guys every week, the top three that we always talk about, but yeah, guys in that area. I know Josh Hoover is the quarterback, I believe, at Rockwall Heath. I know Josh Hoover is somewhere in that area. He's already decided on a school, and Nico Evers and guys like that. So Mississippi State is a really great place to land. It's an SEC school, like you said, but he's has a lot of competition facing Rockwall Heath this year, and it's gonna be. I know that's always a great game. We're excited to see that, and a team that is they won a ring this year. They've won so many in a row. I know their coach Scott Surratt has like 8 rings now. Talking about Carthage, one of their players, Kip Lewis. He's an outside linebacker. He committed to Oklahoma. Oklahoma is loading up their 2022 class with Texas guys like Jordan Hudson and Colby McKenzie. Those guys are going to be crazy in Norman. They don't have a quarterback yet,
Yeah,
though.
I'm saying, Will, you say they're stacking up, but do they have that QB spot yet?
Yeah, Caleb Williams, who's a 2020 guy, and I think they may have gotten someone from this class, but I mean, they'll have Rattler for at least the next year. I'm sure he'll declare after this year, and Caleb Williams will probably be there for 2 more years. So I don't think they're too worried about quarterbacks, but we've seen that happen before where programs just get a little bit too far ahead and don't focus on how much talent there is in some years of high school.
No, but we've also seen many instances where I mean, some colleges are almost too stacked at the quarterback position. Alabama, we talk about this whole QB room. I mean, Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts and Mac Jones on one team. Meanwhile, there's this previous season with Georgia. There was, or just before the season had started, people were talking about Jamie Newman and JT Daniels and Stetson Bennett, who's gonna be the one to take the starting spot.
Yeah, and Jalen Milroe, who's the guy that we covered a little bit earlier on, I guess last year, 2020, he did not even suit up in the spring Alabama game, but I'm pretty sure he'll end up as probably the second or third QB going into the season. But like you said, so many programs get so stacked some years and just aren't able to get the talent in some other years. So we're looking forward. We are really, I know I say that a lot, but just to see how these final few pieces round out in the 2022 class and maybe some flips. We've already seen some of those this year.
Yeah, I mean, every single week it seems like it's just getting better and better. The whole recruiting scene, that's the beauty of it.
Absolutely.
And now it's time to bring on our next guest for the VYPEU podcast. Let's get right into it. We have Anthony Gregory here today. How are you doing, Anthony?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for those of y'all who don't know, Anthony is going to be running the 1600 at the UIL 6A state track and field meet this weekend with his very own teammate straight out of the region, Reese Anderson. How are y'all preparing? Are y'all excited for this? It's kind of rare that two teammates from the same region are competing in the same event all the way at state.
Yeah, definitely excited. Like this is the first time I think a distance runner has gone to state in my 4 years. So it's definitely pretty crazy. And especially since like I have a teammate to go with, it's even better.
Well, I was talking to you a little bit the other day about, or almost a week ago, about your progression just during the race, like what your plan is going to be for this state mile coming up. Kind of walk me through your mindset going into that, like through each lap. What are you going to do? What's your strategy?
Well, I don't want to give away my strategy, but
maybe give us maybe like say what you the public would already expect, or don't give us too much because we want to see a surprise, but give us what the public would expect maybe.
Well, for me, I mean, I only have one shot at the state meet, so I definitely want to try to go out and maybe win. But it's the state meet, and like those guys they're all, I think the slowest guy is like 4:19, so it's gonna be crazy, and anything can happen. But yeah, definitely if I can win, I want to win. Strategy or preparation this week, we did a pretty super hard workout on Monday, and I didn't have the best workout. I was kind of dehydrated, and it was like so hot. I mean, did I say Wednesday? I meant Monday. But yeah, I was just kind of dehydrated, but drank a lot of water, and now I'm feeling better again.
Yeah, so you've got a lot more time between meets than you usually do. So what has it been like, kind of, what's your how have the workouts been going when usually you'd be a lot more rushed?
Yeah, so like usually we have that 1 week window, so we would do like recovery or day off on Sunday and then hard Monday, and like you're still kind of recovering from the meet, so then we would go like medium whatever the word is on Wednesday, and then it would be right back into the meet that Saturday. But since we have 2 weeks off this time, or we have 1 full week off and then another week of workouts, I guess. Last week we did he actually switched up the schedule a bit, like I think to give us more time to recover from the meet. But then also he knew that we didn't have a race on Saturday, this past Saturday. So like I think we did a hard workout on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, I think. So we got in 3 good workouts, I'm pretty sure. And then this week we have hard Monday and kind of medium on Wednesday. So we definitely got in a bunch of good workouts.
Well, are you taking a step back just a little bit? Arguably, this for Strake Jesuit track and cross country. This year specifically is one of the best years for distance. Can you kind of talk about the progression that as just a distance team, both sports, track and cross country, that y'all have had, like the progression y'all have had and the improvement and everything kind of coming together from your freshman year to your senior year? I know the Gillens have come a long way. And talk about, you have Reese coming in, being on varsity this year for both sports.
Yeah, so freshman year when we were all freshmen, I think we just had like a super big class. I think not only like the freshman class at Strake, but the cross country team, like I think we started with 30 or 40 something kids, just freshmen. And so we had a lot of kids, and then like a lot of kids drop out. But we also had like a bunch of good people to look up to: Diego, Botard, Josh, Eric, all them, Gabe. I think my max about that. But yeah, we had, I think a lot of it had to do with a bunch of the good like leadership that we had. Coach Nuri was our coach freshman year, and then we've had Coach Curley all 4 years. And I think honestly what it is like the Gillens are a perfect example of just like staying committed to the system, trusting it, because Coach Curley is gonna like, he knows what he's doing. And then just a total bonus, Reese coming in, absolute stud. We all know freshman year we couldn't run with him because like the rule of when you're a freshman you can't be on varsity, but this year it's been crazy. So I think most of it has just been the seniors and juniors putting in a lot of hard work, and then we got a super big nice bonus with Reese coming in as a sophomore and just stepping up.
Yeah, and not only for distance, but I mean the Strake Jesuit track and field program was kind of, everyone thought it was in an all-time high your sophomore year. With that, when the world fell in love with Matthew Bowling and Caleb Kavanaugh and all those guys. What kind of leadership did you see them have when they, could have just avoided everyone and stayed in their lane?
They were definitely great leaders. They were sprinters, so like we didn't have as much time with them, but we definitely still spent a lot of time with them. Matthew, Caleb, one that you didn't name was Job. I think Job was like an incredible leader. Shout out Job if he sees this. But yeah, like I think it all like when we were sophomores, and then the kids who are now juniors, they were freshmen at the time. I think like seeing that and having Matthew and Caleb and Job not be like totally just like, oh, we're too good for y'all. Like they were definitely super friendly with us, and they helped us a lot. I think that meant a lot, and it did a lot because we were able to be coached by them.
Well, with such a successful team like that, I know y'all all went to the state meet that year, and y'all watched them run. Y'all watched Matthew put on the show along with that spectacular 4x4 race. Witnessing all that and all the other races going on with it, you kind of have an expectation of what you need to prepare for, what state's going to be like, the atmosphere on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be huge. From what I remember 2 years ago, it's like, especially the mile, it's right before the 4x4, which the 4x4 is the biggest event. I think it's going to be a huge crowd. And I think as long as we don't let that get to us too much, I think we'll be fine. Like at region, it was a huge crowd, and you kind of look in the stands before the race and you're like, oh my God, this is great. But I mean, when the race time comes, all that kind of just goes away, and all you have to focus on is the race.
Well, Anthony, lastly, like, what are you most excited for?
This state meet, I guess.
Yeah, just
this 1600.
Everything about it.
Yep.
Well, there you have it, Anthony Gregory, 410 miler, running off at state on Saturday. We wish you the best of luck. You're gonna do some great things. Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you.
Congratulations on a great high school career, man.
Thank you.
Congrats.
All right. Well, we want to thank our guest for this week. Another great episode. Wrapping it up in the last few weeks here. Robert is on his way to Austin. Tinley has already left us. Congratulations to her on winning another SPC championship for softball over there at Episcopal. We really wanted to get her back on for one last episode, but nevertheless, like I said, congratulations. The state track meet is on this weekend, so make sure to tune into that and make sure to listen to us not only on YouTube, like we said last week. We're not only on YouTube anymore, but also on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. I think that's going to be it for us this week. As always, that's Robert Gonsolin and Will Turboff. Thanks for tuning in.